Shalom, shalom, everybody. It's Michael Hood at Yeshua House, and we're going to do 6 days of creation with Mr. M.W. Hood. We're going to keep it Hood. A little about me, myself. See, I grew up in the Sunday church and then went through the public school district, and at some point in high school, got confronted by a non believer. They're like, "You don't really believe that, do you?" And they looked me dead in the eye. And I was like, well, man, maybe, I was never given that option. Maybe I don't believe it. So I had to really contemplate those things. And so with those, you can slip into atheism, and then through the atheism, get into more of the darker stuff. And, that starts to become more available. But with those things, I ended up coming back around into the Bible area, and you still see those atheist communities come at you, and they have a lot of strength in their message. So we've come to talk about the 6 days of creation. So all of the images we're using are part of the Unsplash, royalty free. We have our sermon warning. So kids beware of this pastor. M.W. Hood occasionally uses strong language and tries his best not to. So he apologizes for that ahead of time. And adults beware. This pastor, M.W. Hood, uses unusual humor. And Christians beware. This pastor, M.W. Hood, uses unorthodox views that might chap your hide. So help us, Jesus. We start with the Bible we start the 6 days of creation with one day is 1,000 years. So in 2 Peter 3:8, but beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. Okay. So in Genesis 1 on the King James, it starts with the 6 days of creation, and that's 6 literal days on earth. And this is 6,000 years in heaven. So if you take one day is 1,000 years, and then use inductive reasoning, then we'd have 1,000 years for one day, 6 days of creation, that's 6,000 years. Okay. So day one, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the water. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. So we have God's face moving over the deep of the water, and there is light, and that becomes the first day of creation. And God saw the light, and it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. So, hello world. So being a programmer, I ended up going into the software development profession, which teaches you a lot about logic and reasoning in general. And those things help with working with the Bible, because just as God demonstrates, he said, let there be light, and there was light. So his initial test code actually worked. So that's like the hello world in, the Bible. Thought that was pretty cool. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. So we live in a snow globe. The fish tank, so right here, the firmament, that's kind of a curious thing, but if the waters had been divided, we'd have the waters above where God lives, and then the waters beneath where we live. Okay. And we haven't quite got to this part yet, but we have the pitchfork inserted here. I think we'll get to that part later. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the day the dry land earth, and gathered together of the waters, called the seas, and God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, the herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree yielding fruit after its kind, and whose seed is it in itself upon the earth. And it was so. So right here we get the concept that things beget their own type. We see that the seeds are, the fruit after its own kind and the seed after its own kind. And that's the original part of creation. In today's world, with the GMO and the bioengineering that they do, they would try to combine seeds of different kind to produce a different kind of fruit. And those things are, obviously not a part of the creation, but they use the creation to build different parts of modern science. And God called the dry land earth, and gathering together of the waters called he seas, and God saw that it was good. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. Oh, excuse me, gang. And the fruit yielding tree after its kind. So on the day 3, the earth brought forth grass, and the herb yielding seed after its kind, and the tree yielding fruit after its kind, whose seed was in itself and after his kind, and God saw it was good. Okay. And the evening and the morning were the third day. Boom. Yes, we do live in a snow globe. Day 4, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. So we get a picture of the Milky Way. And so the things like this are actually supposed to be tuned in season. And even though we have these concepts, we all can agree that we're spinning around the cosmos, but somehow at the same points in time and seasons, year after year, we always see these same little things in the sky. So that's pretty amazing in itself. But these things are all for signs for us to understand when the beginning of the year is, when the harvest times are, and when the festival days are, the holidays. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw it was good. And the evening and the morning were the 4th day. We can see a picture of the eclipse. So the evening and the morning were the 4th day. So we start with darkness, and God says, let there be light. So from the darkness to the light became the first day. So when you get back to the darkness, it's the beginning of the day, and then the daytime's actually the ending of the day. So it's a full reversal of our comprehension of how a day works, as opposed to what you'd be taught in our modern education. That's fine. So on day 5, and God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that have life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in an open firmament of the heaven." And there's bringing forth of life. And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind, and God saw it was good. And God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters of the sea, and let fowl multiply in the earth." So the concept here is, as things have been born and brought into the creation, the whole goal, one of our duties is to multiply and bring more of yourself forward, more of the light kind, because that would be, uh, just as you see in biblical fashion, things bring forth of their own kind, and so we're asked to do so abundantly. In the evening and the morning were the 5th day, and God said, "Let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle and creeping thing and beast of the earth after his kind." And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw it was good. And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." And then we get to this level. So we have dominion over everything, including the plastics and things like this. And all that's fun. We like those things, emojis. So the whole point, as I was pointing out previously, it's all about the concept of bringing forth a multiplying and just following in the happiness, which that is that you get to do. The daily living without the grind, without the daily grind of the city. But that's for a different topic. So God created man in his own image, and in the image of God created he him, male and female created he them. So in the 6 days of creation, on day 6, we get the creation of man in his own image, and we also get female. Both of them are in day 6. So that's all you're going to get there. And God blessed them, and God said unto them, "Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth." And God said, "Behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat." So here we're getting kind of our initial menu and diet being prescribed from the Bible. I guess you could really say the biblical diet, because he's saying given every herb which has bearing the seed. So the herbs that don't bear seeds you necessarily wouldn't want to use, and which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree which is the fruit of a tree. It has the fruit trees. Those are the things we're supposed to be eating as meat. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the 6th day. Boom, done. So we get the 6 days of creation, which is the initial starting point of all the stuff, and then we see that's all he needed. We don't get there's not another week of this stuff. But in the world of science, in today's world, this depiction of a 6 day creation, is a total joke. The gated world of science experts would say that the Earth is 4.5 billion years old, and that's fine. I get it. Why not? But the problem we have with any of that, with the 6 days of creation or the 4.5 billion years or any other number of years, is who verifies the fact book, and then how do they know? And that really is the crux of the argument. The best answer the spock-eared experts of science can put forward is we had a big bang and everything is moving outwards into darkness. Matter, dark matter. Okay, and that's fine. I get it. I'm not against the concept. And that's thinking outside of the box. Okay. But in the world of reality, the problem with history is everyone dies. So, whichever history we're even hearing today, all of us listening, we're all going to die at some point. That's a piece of the action. So, 100% of the population dies around 100 years old. The Bible would say 120 years. Okay. I've seen people say they've gone a little past that, and definitely most everybody way before so. But we do understand what they're pointing at. Now, oral history, on the other hand, that's a little different. Oral history can only go back, so far and still be able to say it's verifiable in reality, if that makes sense. You can only go back so far. So what is being said? That nobody can honestly verify anything past 2 generations. So after 2 generations, and whenever I'm saying generations, not the 40-year span, something simple like that, but these 100-year generations. So really, it should probably say 200 years. But the concept is, if you think about your oldest living relative, and then you ask them about stories about their oldest living relatives, those are about as close as you're going to get to being able to verify anything that people can have firsthand account of. After that, you're really in a crapshoot. At some point, you must recognize reality is consistent. So if you believe in Jesus or karma or Catholicism or Shiva, Holy Bible, the Book of Mormon, or anti-theism, reality does not change based on the belief system. If you walk outside and look up and you see a flying spaghetti monster floating around above your house, and it reaches down and strangles you with sticky noodles, then what? What you believe will not matter. You are now a meatball. So if those things were to happen and you had that experience, it wouldn't matter what your belief system is. That's just going to be the fact and the reality, and you'll be corrected on the spot if if you're fully in error, if you're expecting something else to be there. And that's just the way it's going to go. So in the world of judgment, it will not matter what you believe. What you need proof of, or if you're the only one going to get you are the only one that's going to get what is in your reality. So you're not going to, it will not matter what you're going to say, hey, I need proof of this or whatever. This is what you're going to get in your reality. And so we've already put out a few of the concepts that living in a snow globe or living in the fish tank. And so this is not necessarily a popular idea, and I get it, but this is what the Bible says, and people can even fight against it and say, well, what, it doesn't mean that. Okay, I get it, fair enough. But as a larger part of people who subscribe to this depiction of creation is, the Sunday church or the Muslim church, the Saturday church, the Jewish church, and to some extent the Hindu and the American Indian cultures and churches. But even then, only one truth exists, and the truth does not need to provide evidence of, past that to you or to me or to anyone. There's going to only be one truth. So in the world of judgment, I can see the accomplishments science has published, and I can understand why science publishes from Mars instead of from the moon. And I can understand the accomplishments science has gone through. Oops. Oh, I see. Oh, no telescope required. Oh, yeah. If they're on the moon, you'd be able to see you'd be able to find that rover with a telescope. So, you got to go to Mars with these things. So I can understand we have a space station in low Earth orbit. We probably do have that space station floating around in low Earth orbit, but it's not able to float around the moon and hover for some reason. And I can understand that we have never been, I can understand that you have never been to space and you will never be allowed. You may think there's going to be something going to take you up there, but at best you're going to go to low Earth orbit, just like the space station hangs out in. You'll never be able to go to true outer space. Or if you could go to true outer space, then we'd be able to verify different sorts of things, like what the actual universe does look like, or the actual shape of the planet. So I can understand that a television can project a picture that is zoomed in like a microscope. You can see things ultra close. And I can understand that a television can provide a picture that is zoomed out like a great wide ocean. So on this one little LCD screen, you can make the illusion of depth or the illusion of nearness. But whatever it is, it's still flat. But for our eyes, it seems like it goes in, because for whatever reason the analog of our body and the digital can be treated as one. The analog sees the digital as being an analog satisfaction, so it doesn't necessarily see the falsehood in it. We have to recognize that you're not truly looking at that. So then the big question is what is the firmament that was been described? And that's really all you got to say. So to hear the conclusion of the whole matter is to fear God and to keep his commandments. And that's the whole duty of man.